Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have the absolute pleasure of chatting with my new friend, Ms. Lemon. Now, a little bit of a backstory to how I discovered Ms. Lemon. I was just scrolling through YouTube.
As one does.
Indeed. And all of a sudden, a suggestion popped up for her reading the Book of Enoch. And I'm like, oh, that should be interesting. So I clicked over to that, and I was instantly hooked, because this has got to be one of the smartest ladies I've seen on YouTube so far that I've come across. And I said, okay, she's great. I got to get her on the show. So I just went, horns full out bore. And I said, hey, I love your stuff. Would you want to come on the show? And she was very graceful and said, yes, absolutely. I'd come on your show. So here we are today. By the way, guys, this is Ms. Lemon. The links to her channel are below, and you can follow her on YouTube. You can follow her on YouTube, and you can follow her on Twitter. And her Patreon is also down below, which I'm seriously considering becoming a patron as well. And also, my Patreon link is down below. If you guys feel so generous enough to support my idiocy, then you can do so. Anyways, welcome to the show, Ms. Lemon. What I do here is I chat with people about how they found their way out of whatever belief systems they were once a part of. And I also want to talk about your channel and why you decided to start it and some of the great content that you have on it. I mean, you cover so many things. It's insane.
Well, which one do we want to tackle first?
Well, let's do the deconversion stuff, and then we can kind of segue into it,
So I was raised by Pentecostals, which is exciting. Not the snake handling kind, but that's unfortunate. I do like snakes. So I was raised with this idea that everything is angels and demons. I'm also from a different cultural background. If you can't place my accent, it's because it's fake. So I'm from a bit of a different cultural background. And so part of our ancestry stuff was in there. And that was really weird. But the reason I even bring that up, it's this idea that everything that we see in the world is part of existence. And then everything else you can sense with your other senses. That's kind of how I was raised. And that was just, it wasn't like a religious kind of thing. It was just, that's how life is, So I grew up with this really, I guess to use the ill-defined word spiritual, a very spiritual kind of sense. And I really, really believed very deeply. I've heard about other atheists that, I thought it was all stupid when I was 12, and that's when I left, but I still went to church for my parents. That wasn't me. I was totally into it. I was sold. I also had...
Hold on.
Yeah.
What about it had you so convinced?
I think it was that my parents had believed it so much, but also I did not have the best childhood. And I sought a lot of solace in Jesus, honestly. And as I got older, I was significantly binge eating, definitely overeating. And I had gained a significant amount of weight. I think my highest was around 300 pounds. That's about 135 kilos for those of you not on pounds.
Canadians, so
yeah,
do the kilo.
Right. So, you're an uncomfortable teenager. You have issues with your self-esteem, with depression, and just this idea that, I always had to take care of stuff around the house as the oldest child. I didn't have a lot of free time. I didn't have a lot of friends. So this idea of this person that's always there for me and always loves me, no matter what, no matter how bad I am, no matter what's going on in life, Jesus is always there for me. And
no matter how bad you are. You see, you said no matter how bad I am, and I'm like, right away, I'm like, oh, you know what? If we lived in the same neighborhood, we would have been friends.
Yeah, I wasn't like a rebellious teenager or anything, but when you grow up with that really strict fundamentalist thing, even dreaming about a sin is a sin.
Right.
Even though you don't have any control over it. Yeah. I mean, there were so many times I just really, really didn't want to disappoint God. And I would cry myself to sleep, praying so hard. And I just really believed in this stuff. And when I started driving, when you're 16, you get your license and stuff.
I was sidewalks.
Huh?
I said, stay off the sidewalks, everyone.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a very, very safe, like overly safe driver. I was now able to attend church whenever I wanted to, so instead of like going out to wild parties or whatever it is when normal teenagers get like their freedom, with a car, I ended up just going to church. So I would go, I got into the worship team. I was the bassist. So we had to go to just going to church just to practice. That was wonderful for me. I was in the youth group as the worship bassist, and then also the big like sanctuary stuff as well. So I had all of this extra stuff to do, and I was just so into it. And I thought, I really want to just dedicate my life to this and go into the ministry fields, and especially with depression and loving God. And this is going to get dark. I hoped that I could go out and be a missionary and die as a missionary. Wow. That's what I had hoped. I had hoped, because you don't want to end your own life because that's a sin and you go straight to hell. But if that's the feeling you have, I was on another show and they asked me, what do you think would have happened if you never had converted or something like that, or deconverted? And I said, if I was born into a Muslim country, I wouldn't be here. I would have, yeah, Right. So it's very dark, but I just want to show how dedicated I was. For
sure.
So I started studying the Bible. And we know where this is going. But it wasn't quick. It was immediate that I noticed there were some issues.
Right.
So I prayed about it because, of course, if I don't understand it, that's not God's fault. That's because I'm possessed with the demon of confusion. Okay. That's a very Pentecostal thing. Everything's a demon. If I needed help with my math homework, my mom would pray away the demon of confusion instead of sitting me down and teaching me pre-algebra,
I think just hearing that, the demon of confusion, I think that now should be my band's name, because we're all like older guys, right? And we're all like, what was the words?
There you go. That's it. You're welcome. That's what do I get royalties from that? Is that okay?
Well, we could cut you in for a few % anyway, sure.
That's good. But that's simple, so I can't participate. I'm sorry. But yeah, there was just some problems, right away. And so I thought, all right, I'll pray. And that didn't work. So I fasted and that didn't work. And so I had reached out, this is early internet days. So I had reached out as well as I could to talk to, of course, different people at my church, but also priests, which was, different from pastors. If you guys never were raised Christian, that's maybe doesn't have a distinction to you, but it does. And also rabbis, because especially for the Old Testament stuff.
That was my old one.
Yeah. And for okay. Yeah. Did that help you stay in Judaism? No? Okay.
Oh, hell no. I was questioning. I spent a lot of time in the hallway for asking hard to answer questions.
I always thought it was strange that sermons were not interactive. I always wanted to ask a question all the time. So I would make these notes and then just ask afterwards, what happened. I thought it was very strange. We would read one verse or one passage, and then the pastor would just talk for an hour about what it meant to him. And I thought, shouldn't we be reading more of the Bible? That's nice that you interpreted it this way, but I'd rather hear what God has to say. I was such a Christian that I rejected my church. That's kind of how, I got into it, or how I, started going away from that particular denomination. So they, introduced me to some stuff, which I now know was the term is apologetics for it. And some of it made some sense and most of it didn't. So I tried, maybe I can get into more of the history stuff. And that's when I really got into history. I hated it in school, but now I teach it. So I really got into history because of the Bible, and I was having another issue. So wait, what are people saying against it? Because I really wanted to convert my friends and, the few friends that I had. And I really wanted to convert them. Yeah. So you look up the counter arguments and I thought, okay, so what can I say to that? What can I say to that? And so it was pretty difficult. And I ended up leaving Christianity, but I had so many personal experiences that I couldn't leave the concept of religion or the spiritual realm or any of that. So of course you go to the next logical option, which is Islam. Quran,
Right.
0 out of 10. Cannot recommend it. It's very, 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 very boring. I am rereading it through Audible. If anybody wants a recommendation, it's just the one that is like Audible sponsored or something. You know, there's like
I
those
love
books that are
Audible.
made for. Yeah, I love it because you know you get older, your eyes, you know, and with the
Yeah.
migraines, you can't stare at the screen. So I love it. He's really good about it, but again, it's like did I listen to this? Didn't I listen to this chapter before? And it's like, oh, it's so repetitive. And there's still factual errors because that was me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was in Science Olympiad. I freaking loved science and I wanted to like marry science and religion. I was going to be the one to do it, you know. And no, didn't. I mean, you could just really see I was like on fire for Jesus. You know, that's really how I described it. And it just didn't pan out. And you know, again, Quran, not great. So I looked into other stuff. You know, of course, you look into Buddhism, you look into Hinduism, you look into shamanism. Our native beliefs, they're not technically a religion, I wouldn't say. But, you know, of course, you look into stuff like that. And it just didn't work. So, okay, well, at least there's spirits. And then one day, at a bar of all places, somebody asked me what I believed.
Oh, weird.
And weird, yeah. And I thought, all right, I'll just tell them.
I believe I'll have another beer.
Yeah, exactly. Straight whiskey for me. But yes, if you're a child, you can have a beer. There you go. Nice, very good. I liked it. What is it? I like my whiskey like I like my men, over 18 and neat. So you're welcome. You can use that. Okay. So
okay.
So I thought, all right, well, I'll just tell them what I believe, which is, of course, that there's a spiritual realm. But what if they ask why? So I need to kind of step back as to why I believe that. Okay, well, why do I think that that is the spiritual realm? And I realized if I didn't already assume a spiritual realm, none of those experiences pointed definitively to a spiritual realm.
Sure.
And my answer, so I'm like just quiet for like 30 seconds. And I'm like, I'm agnostic. And it was just, I didn't know the difference between agnostic and atheist. It was just, I was so shocked that I could even, I felt so weird saying it. I never mulled it over before and like got comfortable with the idea. It was like, oh, I'm agnostic. Oh.
Well, agnostic, I think, is a more epistemic position.
Right. But again, at the time, I had no idea the difference. Atheists were just people mad at God, as far as I knew.
You just want to sin.
They just wanted to sin, you know.
Yeah.
I will say one really interesting thing that made me think about offering God praise. I was watching a documentary about North Korea, and this is before Kim Jong-un, so we still had Kim Jong-il.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this Doctors Without Borders documentary, and apparently there's a lot of people that suffer from cataracts, and they'll get double cataracts just because of malnutrition, and they don't have the surgery availability, like just the equipment to even get that fixed. So you're totally blind by the time you're 20 for some people.
Oh, shit.
So they had these doctors come in and they did all this work, and they had these really weird like rules about it. The equipment had to be donated, which is great, which is fine. But they had to also help the North Korean doctors use it while they were performing. It was a ridiculous amount, hundreds of surgeries performed over one weekend. So these doctors were tirelessly working. Summer, I love you. Thank you for posting that. It's so weird that my stories will it's just so interesting. Like I can affect people from so far away.
I know.
So we're watching this, and after that, people can see they have the gift of sight, and they're in this place that looked kind of like a small church. There were pews and stuff, but at the front there was this picture of the dear leader, and they were crying and praising him for his graciousness that he cured them of their cataracts. And I yelled at the TV. I was like, what did I, because I just watched this whole documentary about how hard these doctors had to suffer. And I'm like, he's the reason you even have cataracts, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, am I doing that with God? And that really got me to stop and think, like, Because
The
every time
deified
you're,
him, it
yeah, that was one of those. I'm self-aware
seems.
situations. But yeah, I think the whole process of let's start studying the Bible to I think I'm agnostic. Gosh, that must have taken, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years, maybe 8 years, just depending on when you want to think about it. But it took a while. It wasn't like easy to get rid of. Yeah.
No, it's not easy to get rid of something like that, especially if you've had it for almost your entire life, right? So.
For one person that wrote in the chat, Dino Botful asked, "Why do people confuse atheists with misotheists or misotheists?" I'm sorry. I've never actually seen that said that word out loud. You know what I mean? It's like somebody is mispronouncing stuff because they've never heard it. The reason is because we only get our information from the pulpit. We get the information from pastors. We get the information from Christian radio, which I loved. Hank Hanegraaff, the face that exposes the farce of evolution. I ordered it off the radio.
Good Lord.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember the title. I remember, oh my goodness. I remember all the points going through it. I knew better. So we just get that. Like all of their evolution concepts come from people like that. It comes from people like the Ken Hams, the Hank Hanegraaffs, and all of that. That's why. So it's not ever confused. It's just it's incorrectly learned. That's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian radio, good Lord, vomit emoji. Accurate.
Yeah, when I hear Seth Andrews talk about when he used to do his DJ stuff and talk about that kind of stuff on the air, he's like saying how much he can't believe he would talk about that kind of stuff on the air, considering what he is now and what he promotes now, for sure.
Yeah, everyone that I've ever met, they were shocked. And of course, I was in Korea at the time. What's the easiest way to send this information to other people that I know? So I had posted it on Facebook, and that was not very well received. I was rebuked, and get thee behind me, Satan, and some people, including some like extended family, defriended me for a while. There was a lieutenant that I had been in contact with, and he removed me and defriended, I guess, because I was in the Marines, and I actually held Bible studies in the military.
In the Marines?
Yeah, wow. So that's exciting. Yeah, so this lieutenant of mine, like, just stopped talking to me. I was so sad. I saw him as like a really like a leader figure. I really had a lot of respect for him. Yeah, I really did. He had a face that could stop a clock, but he was, I don't know, I guess he was in I don't want to be too specific, but I guess he had played college football, the American one, not the soccer one.
Right.
And you could tell he took some hits to the face. But I was just like, this is like the most, like his smile was like, one of those kind of guys. It was like, some of them muscles don't work anymore, but that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah. And that sport will do it to you. That's work. I worked with a fella who used to be one of the Canadian football team players.
Yeah, the CFL.
Yeah, CFL. His name's Corey Philpott. They used to call him Quick Six and whatnot. Now he actually works where I work. And his hip's done. He can't play football anymore. Yeah,
right? It's so devastating. I think that's a topic for another video, but that's so devastating what we ask people to do for entertainment. I stopped watching. I loved football. Like I tried to find a league out here, and there actually was. And
wow, really?
CAFA, the Korean American Football Association, and I used to go to like their games and stuff. They were on military bases. But then I just couldn't, after I found out just how bad it was. I guess that was my becoming vegan kind of thing, like some people are like, oh, I never knew how bad it was for animals to be hurt, and I stopped eating meat. I'm like, yeah, I never knew how bad it was for these animals to bash each other for my entertainment, so I stopped watching football.
Yeah, I still watch, but you got to think too, these guys know what they're in for when they get involved.
I think so, but also I think maybe they don't know the depth of it. Do you know what I mean?
Probably not.
Like when you go to the military. So I ended up getting disabled in the military. I was ready to lose a leg. I was not ready for my nerves to just mess up. That's what I wasn't ready for. I wasn't ready for chronic migraines. I was ready to die. I was ready to have my arm blown off. I wasn't ready to be hurting while I sit down. That's
Right.
not what I was ready for. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So I
that
think there's some
sucks. Yeah.
things that you just don't think about. You think about all the worst stuff, but never
Break
like that.
something and that'll mend.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but you don't think like, okay, yeah, if I broke my arm or something playing football, that's expected. But you don't think my spine is arthritic by the time I'm 23. You know,
Right.
those are the things you don't consider. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I didn't consider in my youth. I've done a lot of stupid stunts that I'm paying for now.
Yes. The aging process is unfair.
It is. It is. I mean, I recently found out I have deep vein thrombosis, so I
I'm
can't
sorry to
even
hear
have my
that.
beers right now because I'm on I'm on Eliquis, which is an anticoagulant. And it's working because my big, huge, fat leg, the swelling has gone down quite a bit, so it's a good thing. I just hope that I don't have to be on these things for the rest of my life because I'm a dedicated blood donor, and that would really be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Fortunately, I started a Partners for Life group to honor my father's commitment. So it's the In Honor of Frank Bernstein Partners for Life group, which is you get as many people as you can in a group and they go donate and you count your numbers every year. And to this day, we still do over 450 donations every single year as a group.
That's fantastic. I keep trying to get my students to donate. I think it's pretty normal for seniors to have to do some kind of volunteer hours to graduate. And I keep telling them, just let it fly. Just go. You can do it. They're like, oh, I don't know if I can. I'm looking it up for them. Like, you can do it. Just donate. Come on. I don't know. They
save lives.
I don't, especially during a pandemic. You know, we don't know what's going on. So, not a good time.
You got lots of fans today.
Yeah, I put this information out that I was going to be here because normally I would be live streaming right now.
I'm sorry.
So no, not at all. We're doing this. This is the same. It's equivalent, you know. This is the Pepsi.
Yeah, you spend more time being old than being young. That's for sure.
Unfair, right?
However, they say growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional.
I'd like to think of it as leveling up.
Okay, that works for me too. Leveling up. Yeah, but why does leveling up suck so much then?
Well, because you got to do more to get all this XP because your XP goes, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, it only took me, you know, when you're a kid, it's like, oh, I learned how to stand. Oh, level up, you know, now it's like, oh, I got to deal with all of my deep psychological trauma, you know.
And you didn't have the good armor, you know what I mean? And you didn't have all the good stuff, and you had to collect that as time goes on.
Exactly. Yeah, those are the handicaps that prevent us from being too powerful.
Yeah.
I would be unstoppable if it wasn't
for this. Jedi by now. Thank you, Summer. And Summer, by the sounds of it, it sounds like you might have an interesting story to share too, if that's the case.
Yes, I would love to do an interview with Summer at some point if Summer is willing to do it. Our stories are very similar. I mean, even just like personal stuff as opposed to just Pentecostal background. Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys didn't do the snake handling, is that what you're saying?
No, unfortunately. The reason for that, because we were told, you know, there's the Pentecostals that do that. That's not us. And the reason we don't do that is do not tempt the Lord thy God. Of course, God will help us if we are to be bitten by a venomous snake. Remember, venomous, not poisonous, right? If we are to be bitten by a venomous snake, but we shouldn't test God. And that's why those fools there that test God, they're the ones dying of the snake venom. Like, okay.
Right.
Sure,
of course.
I believed it. Whatever.
Anyone who gets bit by those snakes, if they're not treated, is going to die from the snake venom. Okay, so let's not kid ourselves here. Do you guys watch anime? Absolutely, I do.
I definitely grew up. So I rewatched Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh man, so good.
Okay, yeah, So when I watched it the first time, I was a teenager, and there were these older guys that were there at like this anime club we had. And they would always complain that Shinji is like being such a whiner. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's got angst, you know, you don't get it. Yeah. And then watching it as an adult, I'm like, gosh, Shinji just whines all the time. That's too bad. But one person said that is a cult. Yes, it is. It is a cult. And the fact that you get shunned by your loved ones, that is not okay, you know.
He says, "What's anime?" And yet he's got a Naruto background. Yeah, sure.
Anime, Japanimation. Do you remember that term?
Japanimation, yes, before they actually came out with the term anime.
Right. What was it? The Japanimation hour on like Cartoon Network or something in the middle of the
Something
night.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I was watching, Star Blazers, even Astro Boy, Robotech, all that shit way back in like the 70s and 80s. So
we tried to do Superbook, which is a Christian anime.
Oh no.
I think it came back up. They flagged us for copyright, whatever. And one of my buddies was like, really? The Superbook people are still around trolling YouTube to flag for people that use their videos. But I explained how it works, and that it just kind of triggers it when you play it too much of it at once. It kind of triggers that. So we'll see if we can watch Superbook. But oh man, I remember most of the theme song and stuff. Oh my goodness, it's too much.
One of your recent videos you've watched, what was it, Jesus Camp or Jesus Summer Camp or something?
Yes, Jesus Camp.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went to those.
That was fucking funny.
It's intense. Jesus Camp is actually, I guess this kind of goes into one of your questions. That was one of the reasons I really got into YouTube, to answer questions, because I found that there was a lot of misunderstanding about Pentecostals, and I wanted to kind of explain it, like their thinking, not to justify it, but just to kind of explain why they have these behaviors, or what's their reasoning. Because it was posted, and this was back, I guess, in 2012, I think is when I started my channel. It was posted on YouTube. You could watch Jesus Camp, and I just saw these comments and stuff, and then I saw Cult of Dusty, and he was just yelling at the camera, very entertaining to me. And I thought, okay, well, if there's this angry atheist that's doing this, and he doesn't seem to have any like special equipment or anything like that, maybe I could just do that too, but just not yell at people. And that's a different life. Back in my military days, that's a different life,
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta keep the tone down, just to stop the migraines from starting. But I think it reaches people in a different way, though,
It does. I think so too. And you mentioned Dusty and Cult of Dusty and all that. And one of the first, when I fell down the atheist rabbit hole on YouTube, of course, his channel came out, and The Amazing Atheist and Seth Anders and all these. And then, of course, it leads into the Aaron Raws and the Atheist Experience and all that stuff, which I'm now actually a member of the ACA and one of the hosts, or newer hosts, of the nonprofits.
If you want to put in a good word for me.
Absolutely, I will.
I would love to do it. Absolutely, would love to do it.
I would love to have you on. I mean, we have tons of co-hosts for the nonprofits, and we swap them all in and out. Like I'll be
right, yeah, just to kind of rotate. I don't got to be the regular,
I'll tell Johnny for sure.
Sure.
And our times are around this time when we start doing the recording, so it would work out for you because it'd be morning for you and whatnot. So you'd totally be able to do that.
Fantastic.
I'll put a good word for you in it.
Thank you
to Johnny for you for sure. Because I think that'd be great to have someone at your level of smartness in the show for sure, instead of us fucking hammy, corny guys all the time.
I don't even know like what my level of smartness is. I'm a nerd. That's it. Like I'm sure you've got other smartness that I do not have. That's
I'm a chemist.
So. Yeah, see, I don't chemistry.
That's easy.
I mean, I know how to put. Okay, I know how to make my coconut coffee, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't chemistry. I know that we have better living through chemistry. I appreciate my medication, but I don't. Yeah, you're way smarter than me in that. Don't sell yourself short, is what I'm saying. Especially
I'm
with
just a big goofball.
Double fabulous hair. That's what we've got here. You're welcome, audience.
Yes.
We are bringing the
drama.
There are
deities. We'd be the deities of hair.
You like my eyeshadows? Thank you, Sinister Porpoise. I actually had messaged Neil that I was like, I'm getting ready. I'm trying to, and I did the Dolly Parton quote.
Thank you,
It's
Sinister
a lot of effort. What is it? A lot of money, and it looked this cheap. So, a good time.
Thank you for the super chat, Sinister Porpoise. By the way.
Pentecostals, are those the pentagram Satanist people? Winky face. That's it. That's sacrifice your reason for Jesus. Yeah,
Did you say coconut coffee? Is that what you're having?
that's what I'm having. It's
Ooh.
good. It's got coconut
Ooh.
milk. Like instead of like creamer, put coconut milk, coconut
Right,
cream
right.
powder. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, sounds like it. I'd like
It's
to
so
try
good.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
One of these saw a girl licking the microphone on Twitch the other day with over 300 people watching. So I think I see the problem. I don't even. What was that even in reference to?
That's probably ASMR.
Maybe.
They do the ear licking thing, right? Where they make a 3DO microphone that has ears on the outside of it, and they get all in there and they're like, ah. And I'm like, okay, I can do without that. Like I like the ASMR where they read stories or they tap on things, and that's about it for me.
Yes, there's a
So
channel called Narc Alert that started getting. She's got a very interesting voice, and so she started getting into reading scary stories. But also Meowling does ASMR, and that's the only one that I can watch. She's just like makes you feel very relaxed, but I don't get the tingles. That's what I don't. I guess you get tingles for some people. I don't get the tingles.
Sometimes it's I don't really get them that often, but the soothingness of the whispered voice when they're telling you a story or something,
right? It's just
that's
like
what does it for me.
Yeah, relax. You know.
I'm like,
So,
this is great. This is
exactly.
and I'm done.
Exactly. It's that or Doc Spot. That's a good channel for old documentaries before they had like the exciting, drums kind of going in while they're, trying to find Bigfoot. These are like good 90s documentaries. So
awesome. So, I guess you kind of already sort of answered it, but I was going to talk about your channel, like how and why you wanted to get it going. Like, why did you want to start a channel?
I thought that more people would ask me questions about Christianity, not atheism. So I was here for people that weren't Pentecostal to answer questions about fundamentalist Christianity, because that was a niche I thought that I could fill. But then it was like atheist this, atheist that. So it was really a Q&A channel at first. But then one of my students had found my channel many years later. And so I had to kind of take a break, make it private, and sort of revamp it. There wasn't anything bad on there, but it was just, a teacher that's saying swear words or all of their tattoos are on full display, that kind of stuff. So I just kind of redid it as like, all right, let's try just like an education approach, where we kind of break stuff down. It was something I had been thinking of anyway. And so the student finding it just kind of gave me the push that I was really needing, I guess. Cool. But I also thought, especially with the pandemic and teaching from home and a lot of students having trouble with that, I've already got these PowerPoints and stuff ready. Let's just do some geography classes, and then we can do history, and then hopefully AP psychology, and just to have. And I thought that would be fun. They were live streams at first, but I thought, trying to think like, okay, I'm a teenager. I didn't want to sit through my class and listen to a bunch of people go back and forth. I just want to kind of watch this to see what I missed. They're not going to sit through 2 hours of a class, like an online kind of class, to rewatch the live stream. So that's why I just kind of made them a lot shorter. And so they're around 35, 40 minutes. So if any of you guys have like teenagers that are wanting help with geography, give them a watch. It's fun. Just make your language, minor friendly. That's all. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, the language on this show generally is not that minor friendly.
No, and I mean that's your channel. You know what I mean? Do as you will. Because I have to do my teacher speak so much.
Yeah.
It has started to feel weird now when I don't, which again is strange. I mean, I was always saying it was almost like overusing hot sauce, the way that I seasoned my sentences, So now it's like, okay, more of a punch when I use it. So I think it's fun. The only thing I don't like is covering my tattoos. It's very hot. So
yeah. They're good ones too. And I was telling you were saying hot sauce, right? And I was telling you that I did that chicken wing challenge thing with Eric Murphy and Vila Bianca, and so we had to buy these different hot sauces, right? And they get hotter as you go.
Oh, that's fantastic! That sounds like fun.
So these are not that expensive, like $30, I think, on Amazon. And the last one is called spontaneous combustion.
I love it. I love it. I love the paranormal reference as well.
Yeah.
Love it.
And they got ass blaster, ghost pepper, or ass kicking ghost pepper, hot sauce from hell. I'm familiar with hot sauce from hell because I've had that before, and you know they're 500-ish on the Scoville scale. So
that's it. That's not
the highest one. I know the highest one I think is that the spontaneous combustion, and it's close to 2 million. So that's
okay. That's what I was thinking. They should be at least, I don't know, a few thousand, at least a habanero. You know, it's like 30,000 Scoville. So
yeah. I remember you said habanero, and I remember watching, I think it was Oprah or some shit, and they had this guy on there who was a world record breaker. He's this guy who's done a bunch, and now he was going to try, at the time, it was the hottest pepper, the habanero.
Maybe the hottest pepper for like white people. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
How can you say it's the hottest pepper and India exists,
nowhere near
and
that
Thailand exists? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like my food that I grew up eating. That's like challenge food, and I'm like, come on, guys, it's just a fish with a head. Like,
and I do have a hot sauce named this as well. Shit the bed from Australia. Yeah. Anyway,
does it live up to its name? No. Okay.
I haven't yet.
Okay, that's good.
But I'm still in control of my bowels, so that's a plus, I guess.
Yeah. Do not loose them. Do not unleash the kraken.
I like what you said there.
You're welcome. I'm glad you got that.
But yeah, I mean,
what would all the cryptids taste like, and which would go best with each sauce? That feels like a topic for my channel, because we have a thing for like conspiracies, cryptids, and creepy stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would love to do more of these. I mean, I would eat any of them. I've eaten so many different things. I have to probably republic some of those videos, but yeah, tarantula.
Yeah, I've eaten tarantula as well.
Good. It's so good.
Tastes like crab, kind of.
It tastes like fried crab, exactly.
Yeah.
So good. I thought, all right, a bunch of people eat this. It can't taste terrible. I never thought it'd be one of the top 5 best things I've ever eaten, though. You know?
I know it's actually really good. It's very. You wrap it in the leaves, and then you throw it in the fire, and you let it cook that way. Oh man,
it's so good. Oh my goodness. Blood. My mom still is like really upset that I eat blood, because you're not supposed to eat the blood. I don't know how upset she is like on a day-to-day basis, but blood sausage, blood pudding, you know.
Blood pudding, yeah, I like that stuff.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my goodness.
Man.
Crab is the bastard child of turtles and spiders. You know, I'm not your biology teacher, but I think that's not exactly.
Yeah.
Is that how it happens?
Different
Ken Ham? I think we found Ken Ham. He's here. Thank you, Ken, for joining us for our eggs and ham.
You good old Paul.
You. I love Paul. Mothman is dust and guts. Oh, okay. I can see that. Is it true that porpoises don't like seafood but prefer chocolate chip cookies? I don't know. I thought you were going to ask about how they taste, and I've never eaten a porpoise, but I have eaten whale on porpoise, and I have eaten seal, and yeah, they do taste like mammals. So
yes,
it's interesting.
I've had whale as well.
It's good. Seal is like it's so unfatty, and it's like, oh, I guess it makes sense. The fat's on the outside, the blubber, you know, but you just don't expect it.
No,
super lean.
It's definitely an interesting taste for sure.
Yeah, but just not fish, you know.
Yeah, it's not fishy at all.
Not fish. The good Lord put seafood underwater for a reason. Don't eat it.
The good Lord.
We don't. Okay. You had a hint with the coconut. Okay. But do not come after me for my seafood.
Satan invented crab traps and fishing rods.
Exactly. That's why man has figured out something God never thought. Have I had horse? Yes.
I have not.
It's pretty good. We did a video, buddy of mine did. We had a can of horse. My buddy sent it to me. Yeah, really? It was canned horse. And we made what did we make with the canned horse? We put some of it in the mac and cheese. Sorry, Canadians, no ketchup was added. No, we did add ketchup. You're welcome. And so we put it with that. I made dumplings. You don't? Well, Bare Naked Ladies lied to me. Do you remember Bare Naked Ladies?
Of course.
Are they still around?
Yes, they are. I was working
they?
in a record store when their first EP came out before they were even signed, and it was a little yellow cassette, and it had the $1 Million song on there. If I had a million,
Yeah, that's where the ketchups. Yeah, and
yeah,
some fancy ketchups. You know, they add
yeah,
for the craft dinner. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Back in the day.
yeah, yeah.
But we also made dumplings, and I used the liquid in the can to replace some of the water to make the dumpling skin, and the horse dumplings were really good. They were so
Wow.
good. And then I looked
See,
up
now
like
I'm
a
getting
Kazakh
hungry.
recipe so we could make it. There was like enough horse to make 3 dishes. That's good.
Wow. Well, I've
Yeah.
had moose. That's just like a giant horse with antlers.
I've only had it in jerky form.
Oh,
like when
I've
I
had a
used to
moose
live in
roast.
Michigan and I was
Delicious.
like visiting the UP. That's when I had it. And then raw deer venison. So we had that. That's a good time.
Yes,
Deer
Bill,
venison.
I am showing my age when I say record store. Yes, it was Sam the Record Man, which was a Canadian.
Just in case you were confused that Neil is 22. Wow, Neil, really? You're old enough to I'm sorry, I'm here throwing shade. Almost if I'm margarine. Ketchup is an abomination. That came from Ken Ham. Ken Ham, what are we going to put on the eggs? I like ketchup and eggs. It's a good time.
I like eggs on ketchup, or ketchup on eggs. I like eggs on ketchup. Sounds like a 4-year-old. I like putting eggs on my ketchup. I have a plate full of ketchup, and I put some eggs on.
Children. Fools.
And yes, record stores still exist. We have Zulu Records down here in Vancouver, and they bring in all the really cool stuff.
You can buy vinyl at Walmart.
Yep, and you can at like what London Drugs, I think, which is a drugstore outlet here. You can buy them there. They're back because of DJs, like DJs wanting to spin the vinyl, right?
Because I mean, Walmart, they do all of that. They won't have certain like music that offends, Christians. And I mean, every vinyl you play it backwards, and that's the Satanic Panic all over again. So, how are these here, Walmart?
I heard some of those
hypocrites.
Those alleged fucking backmasking shit, and I was like, you guys are really reaching here.
Yes, like that's the message you want to put in. It was just like hail Satan, hail Satan. Okay, that's what you constructed an entire song for. So if some 17-year-olds that are high just want to play it backwards, wow, that's a lot of effort. That's a lot of work. Like I make memes, I put them in my PowerPoint. That's too much work for me.
I didn't know.
I only got famous so I could play Hail Satan backwards. Like, oh, okay. That's the true message. That's the satanic, thing. Like that's Satan's agenda is to make music. Okay, that was it. That was it.
You can just see good old Beelzebub down there in the bowels of hell going, I need a new rock song. Oh, I am. Right. We are the world. We are the children. I can just see that happening, right?
I think that Satan would consider power ballads an abomination. I would think that.
Hey, there were some good ones.
Except for Steelheart. Yeah, that one. This lady. Oh man. I can't get that high, but I wish I could.
Well, I might have something else. Oh wait, that's totally different.
That's different. What are those homophones?
No. You couldn't get that high. I can help. I'm in Canada. We have legal.
That's it. That legal. Are those are those like effervescent tablets?
No.
Okay, because it looks like they are from the tube. And you're just like, I put this in my water. They also have vitamin C.
Come with a half a dozen of these guys in there.
Ah, gotcha.
That one I rolled, mind you, but they come with the big, long, spliffy ones with the little filters in the end, but I don't do filters.
Interesting. That's interesting. That's still very illegal here.
I know. Yeah. Unfortunately.
100%. I think maybe, no, they did allow, what is it? Some of the non-high stuff. What is that? The CBD?
CBDs, yeah.
Cannabidiol or whatever. They allowed that for some medical conditions, but that's all I know. Yeah.
It does help.
But that was pretty recent. So records are back for hipsters because actual vinyl DJs are getting rare. That's true. But maybe, I mean, I don't know if that's true. It's not like I go to clubs. I mean, I don't know. We got together and played Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we didn't. Half orc bard. You're welcome.
Ooh, an orc bard. Nice.
That's good. I was an alchemist with that 5th edition homebrew. Very good. Very good times.
You know, I now you just reminded me of something. I can't remember the name of the channel, but I'm sure you've probably heard it. Have you heard of where they turn modern day songs into like old bard music? Like
Bardcore.
the Bardcore. Yes,
I
yes.
students listen to it, and I'm like, be inspired, make
Yes.
stuff, make art. You know, yeah,
That's
it's good.
Those songs are awesome. The way they're
My
redone
favorite
like that.
is the cover for what's it? Pumped Up Kicks.
That's just gonna say exactly the same one for me.
Robert
The bunny lads with their pumped up. Yeah. Faster than thine arrow.
With the buskin boots, bestie run, outrun my
Faster than
arrow.
mine
Oh,
arrow,
it's so good. It's so good.
It's so funny. It's
good.
awesome.
I'm like students extra credit if you want to do something. I always offer them extra credit for everything. So I just want them to get interested in this stuff.
I have teachers like you. Damn it.
I'm the teacher that I always wanted. That's what I am.
Yes, which it says basically in your bio.
That's sort of my tagline, trying to be the teacher that I always needed. So I try to do that and have fun. And I do get themed up for my outfits and stuff. So that's fun. Like, hey, can you guys guess what we're learning about today? Is it Egypt? It is. What gave it away besides everything? Or I'll do my hair a certain way. Like, all right, we're going to learn about the Tang Dynasty. And here's how they did their hair, which is pretty interesting. And we can see it's very similar to episode 1 of Star Wars and how they just pretty much stole all of these looks. They weren't inspired by. So if you guys want to just not be creative, but make money off of creativity, just go back in history to stuff nobody really cares about anymore these days, unless you're a historian, and then look into that and just take it. You're done. You know, it's easy. Just helping them with life. The death metal version of
Oops, I did it again.
Your producer's here, but your producer should find it.
He should. He's not here. He's in the chat because he's at work, so he's popping in through Twitch because I stream
with
on
an
Twitch.
Actual job, please.
Yeah, he does. I know, right?
Ooh.
Apparently, I don't pay him enough. Oh, that reminds me, it's his payday. I've got to pay him later.
Oh,
for what?
Yeah, for what? We had to produce this ourselves. You couldn't even get me a microphone cover. I have to use a saw.
I have a spare around here somewhere, but.
That's okay. It'll cost you more to ship it here, you know.
No, I'll use carrier pigeons.
There we go. That's good.
Just go across the Pacific. We're good.
Yeah, the Pacific. That's the smallest ocean, right?
Yeah, right. It's the tiny one.
The swing version of American Idiot. If you guys like rockabilly, the Baseballs, they are a German band. They redo everything with like this Elvis twang. It's so good. It's so good. So good. Blown away, so good. Just the Baseballs, which sounds like a German interpretation of American culture, which I love. It's hilarious, you know. Oh yeah, wie eats the bacon, you know, kind of thing. Like.
So let me ask you this: back to sort of deconversion.
Back on topic, yes.
Yeah, I love interacting with the chat, and I'm glad you do too, because it's a lot of fun.
Yes, no, it's fun. That's the point. Otherwise, we would just make a video.
Right. We could have just recorded this and released it as a premiere, you know, like some of those other.
Exactly. Whatever.
And fuck that. Anyway, is your family still fairly religious? And if so, how do they deal with you kind of now being away from it?
It was really difficult at first, and my mother. I don't hold any like anger about it because I know why. I know she was very. She thinks I'm not going to see her in heaven. Of course she's devastated, you know. And sometimes
she won't know though, because I mean, if she knew that you were somewhere in hell, let's say, then how could it be heaven for her?
No, well, I mean, if we go by the actual heaven that's described, especially in the Book of Enoch, it's just worshiping. You wouldn't even see anybody you're just too focused on worshiping Yahweh. Exactly, you know what I mean? Exactly. But she's devastated, this idea that I would be tortured in hell for eternity. And, that frustration can lead to some pretty nasty things that can be said, but felt justified in being said, So there were some strong messenger kind of stuff that were sent because of the time difference. It's difficult for phone calls. But I kept asking, do you want, I'm not against you. You just have to provide evidence. And I think one of the problems that religious people have, particularly Christians and Muslims, is when you say that you're an atheist and they ask you why, and you bring up like a point from their theology or from their religious text, they think, okay, as long as I explain this point, you will believe. And it's like, okay, even if there was this thing, somebody was talking to me about Muhammad the other day and how he knew all of this stuff, all these scientific miracles of the Quran, that's the phrasing they use. And how could he know that,
Like
and
cutting the moon in
you
half.
could argue like, well, plate tectonics doesn't support the scientific miracle of the mountains holding the earth still, and embryology is wrong in the Quran. But I said, well, you know what? Let's say that all of the stuff that Muhammad said is scientifically accurate. That just means it's scientifically accurate. We don't know how he got that information. Maybe he's a really good guesser. Maybe the devil, Shaitan, had contacted him to trick people away from the true religion, and he gave him all this knowledge because he represents knowledge, right? It could be that he's actually a guy from the future and he came back in time. Maybe he had contact with a guy from the future who came back in time. Maybe he can switch between parallel universes. Maybe Muhammad is God and he's trying to see if anybody noticed that. So he's trying to throw us off to see if we're really smart enough. You can't just say, okay, Muhammad got this stuff right, therefore God is real. And that's what I think a lot of people, And so this idea that, okay, well, I can prove God came from my mother with things like, well, I've had answered prayers, and it's like, you have to, all right, take a step back, how do we determine that this is really connected? And especially if you watch my videos, that I tend to be pretty calm. Like sometimes we get some pretty interesting people in live stream. And it is pretty, it's difficult to push my buttons, but mother knows best. But so I would try to kind of default to that, like, all right, can I try to stay calm despite talking to her? And that only upsets the situation more, because now it's like, you don't care. And so this idea that, they felt judged by me, I felt judged by them, but I wasn't judging them. Right. They were judging me. And that's kind of the problem. We both felt like we were judging each other. It really got bad though after one of my siblings had died. And I was being beseeched to convert, because don't you just want to see them again? And of course I would give, I don't want to make myself cry, but I would give anything to have another day.
Yeah, of course.
And to be told that, it just becomes this argument that it doesn't need to be. And it's like, how dare you try to manipulate my emotions like that? How dare you try to twist this and use my pain to get what you want? And I had some people commenting in it because I had some videos about it. I think it was maybe just one, but there was this person that they just took it and they started commenting on like every one of my videos about, don't you want to see this person again? Don't you want to see them again? Don't you want? And I'm just like, okay, yeah.
Shit tactic.
It really is. I do. How does that prove God is real?
That's right.
Okay.
Wouldn't anyone want to see a loved one?
Right. Again, how does that prove God is real? And if God knows everything and all he wants is our true belief in our heart, he would know the only reason I'm believing in him is to see her again.
Yeah. Yeah. He can't hide from
this wouldn't work anyway. I wouldn't have true faith. I could just pretend, maybe convince you, but I couldn't convince the all-knowing creator of the universe, So it was just, that's a bad tactic. Don't do that. Don't do that. Any religious people watching this, don't do that. That ain't it. I don't know what it is, but it ain't it.
Shit tactic. No, I didn't make that word. I said shit tactic. But thanks.
But now we have a new one. That can be your tagline.
Come over to my shit-tastic channel.
This is so difficult to listen to as it is abusive.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know if I would necessarily use the word abuse for that person in the channel that was just randomly doing it. but I would say manipulative. I would say just a really trash human being with a worse ability to reason. You know, I don't know what's worse, your lack of empathy or your lack of reason. You know what I mean? I don't know which one pisses me off worse. So
and to use a situation like that against somebody by stating something like that is definitely a lack of empathy.
Yeah.
It's just like, why? You think your God wants you to do that? Like, come on.
Right. You know, well, but it's like to use any tactic you can. You know, it's kind of built into some denominations and also some religions. You know, it's okay to lie to people as long as it's for a godly reason.
Right.
So yeah, lying for Jesus. I know that was a hashtag for a while.
Yep, lying for the big lie to begin with.
Exactly, and that's the thing. If you have to, and I've told people this, if you have to lie in order to make your point, it's time to reevaluate if your point is worth making. You know, if this is the way that you have to go about it, maybe it's not worth making. That was one thing I noticed too while I was trying to answer my friends' questions, which I later realized was apologetics. And they, you know, I was like, why do I have to keep like making excuses for God? You know, why do I have to keep justifying this abhorrent behavior? You know, Job, like I've seen people say, oh, well, yeah, Job's children, they were all killed, all 10 of them, but that's okay. God gave Job 10 more kids. And it's like, well, do you have kids? Oh, yes, I have kids. Okay, if I kill all 3 of them, is it okay as long as I just give you 3 new kids? You know, is that how is that okay? You know, but
or the old analogy: if you're a parent and your kids are bad and you put them in the basement and light it on fire, is that the same? Is that like, you know, like?
Well, they didn't want to be. They chose it. They went to the place without God. You know, and that's how I used to try to justify it. You know, well,
you mean everywhere?
Yeah, right. Everywhere except the place He also created.
Yeah, it's silly. There's 2 things that I always say that believe me, folks, if there was a God, we'd all know.
Right.
And secondly, if He's all knowing, then this entire religion thing is a scam, because He would have known that Adam and Eve were going to fall in the garden to begin with.
Right.
You've been scammed.
And yeah, it's the idea that I would never, like, I'm not a parent, but I would never do that to a student. You know, innocent person that doesn't understand certain things about life. I would never poison candy and say, hey, here's all these tasty snacks, but don't eat this candy because it's poison. And they're, you know, a child. They don't know what poison is. You'll die. Well, maybe it's a young child. They don't understand that concept.
That's right.
And then if they eat it, who's at fault? Them or me? I knew better. I'm the omnipotent one in this argument, you know, this situation, this analogy. How could I blame them and then curse all of humanity after that?
Right.
And then look at that story as a Christian and say, yes, God is love. You know, He gave us a chance, but we're just so bad by design that we just didn't listen to Him, which He knew. You know, how does that work? You know,
just a heads up, guys, the link to the after party is in the description box below. So if you're going to head over there, we'll be there shortly after the show ends, which is coming to an end pretty quick here.
Did we hit all the questions before?
I think we did.
Okay.
I think we did. I never write anything down. I like these conversations to be organic, right? So I questions will pop up as we're discussing things, right? And then I'll pop.
Yeah, absolutely. I just didn't know if there was any like pressing questions.
No,
but I guess we can still talk about the after party.
Oh, of course.
It doesn't start immediately after, right? Because I've had a lot of things to drink this morning. Okay.
No. I usually it's about 10-15 minute break in there, and then I'll send you another link for the new. All right. Yeah, guys, that's what we're going to do. We're going to finish this one, and then we're going to get into the after party. If you are interested in joining us for the after party, which I always encourage, let me know through Twitter or Facebook. If you don't know where of my Twitter and what, it's at 604 Atheists. You can follow me there and then send me a message. My message box is always open. Yeah. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show today.
We'll see you in the after party.
hashtag coins is the drinking game, if you're not familiar with that. So every time you hear my Mario coin noise go off on the phone, that's when you take a sip. And Ollie knows all about it, but he's a toker, not a drinker. All right.
I've got caffeine.
See, there you go, right there.
Uh-oh.
Hashtag coins. And the hashtag coin beer cozies will be available in my merch store at some point. Also, thanks to all my amazing patrons. You guys really are the lifeblood of the show. You're the reason I'm able to keep going and whatnot. Oh, my Star Trek game now. Anyway, and don't forget that my friend Randolph and I are starting up our own call-in show very soon called True North Talk. So you can head over to www.truenorthtalk.ca and it'll have all the information over there, and it'll have a link to the YouTube channel so you don't miss our launch date. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, you can come and watch me and some other fantastic hosts on the revamped, relaunched Nonprofits, which airs between Atheist Experience and Talk Heathen, or the other way around. I think Talk Heathen then Atheist Experience. One of the ACA products is 3 p.m. Central Time. So head over and subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, the last Saturday of every month, I do a little show with my friends Andy and Seamus. And Andy does the Laughing at Disbelief channel. And Seamus is from the Free Thought Prophets. And we get together, and you never know when we're going to come knocking on your DMs and say, hey, join us for an episode. And it's called Atheist Drinking Out Loud. And we just, for a couple hours, we just poke fun at things and people. And it's a lot of fun. All right, that about wraps this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Thank you, Lee, for being the guest on the show today. It was so much fun having you on and getting to know you. I
had a great time. Yeah.
Because I've been hooked on your stuff since the moment I started watching. So it always pleases me when somebody that I admire and respect comes on the show.
It blows my mind that people even feel that way about these videos. Because I mean, my videos are very simple and they're not flashy at all. So I'm always like so humbled by that, for sure.
I do too, because I get a lot of emails from people that say, wow, your shows have really helped me, and which is exactly why I do this, to help people, right? So
exactly.
And that's why I appreciate great folks like you coming on and helping me do that. All right, guys, we're going to get into the after show. And by the way, guys, if you like the music to the intros and outros, that's my band. We're called Liminis. That's Liminis. And you can find us over on SoundCloud. If you dig it, check all the tunes out. By the way, Aaron Ra's favorite song is Taste My Sin. Go figure. All right, guys, until next time, like I always say at the end of these, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.